WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio. U.S. Army WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Amerika. Total Germany. Amerika.
This is WTF Nation Radio.
All right, everybody. Time to start out this Friday evening the right way. What's going on, everyone? This is Friday Night Freedom. My name is KOZ, and this is WTF Nation Radio. We are the voice of U.S. Army WTF Moments on Facebook. Come and check us out. Facebook.com/WTF Nation Radio, or just any platform, really. Just look for WTF Nation Radio, and chances are we're on it. Anyway, today's the 15th day of January. This month is half over in the first month of 2021. And I am joined by my good buddy Pookie here. What's going on?
Hey, what's up?
What's happening, man? Happy Friday to you.
Yeah, it's same old. I thought January was supposed to be like the slowest month of the year, but this one's going by like crazy fast.
It is, man. It has been, I just realized it today. I was like, wow, today's the 15th. The damn month is damn half over. I don't know.
I think what it is 2020 has been such a shit. 2021 already. No, sorry, 2020 was a shit show, but 2021 it's just been bad shit crazy right off the bat. That's what it was. So
yeah, I think 2020 for some people, for most people, maybe it was just it just sucked. The Rona just kind of threw a wrench into the machine of what the United States of America is. I'm sorry, you kind of broke my train of thought there. Is that a... What are you drinking there?
It's a twisty.
It's a twisted tea? Oh, anyway, yeah, 2020 was definitely a shit show, and it really derailed what America is and what the kind of the world is. Everyone just stopped. Everything stopped. At first we didn't know how to react, what to do, and then politicians got involved and then just derailed the train, dude, and the world turned into a dumpster fire. I guess before I want to get into the dumpster fire that is what happened in D.C. or what's happening in D.C., I do have some breaking news. This is kind of cool because I'm in Texas, so. National Rifle Association just abruptly announced its decision to file for bankruptcy
I saw this
afternoon, announcing at the same time that it plans to reincorporate as a nonprofit in the state of Texas. In a letter to members, NRA Executive Vice President and CEO Wayne LaPierre explained the decision as a restructuring plan that positions us for the long term and ensures our continued success as the nation's leading advocate for constitutional freedom, free from the toxic political environment of New York. Ouch.
Oh, there you go.
He said the plan can be summed. He said the plan can be summed up quite simply. We are dumping, and he used those words. We are dumping New York, and we are pursuing plans to reincorporate the NRA in Texas.
There you go.
To facilitate
a lot of corporations are doing that recently.
Yeah, and it's not like little people either. I mean, Elon Musk is opening shop here in Texas.
Hewlett Packard moved back to Texas.
It moved back to Texas. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, well, for now, it's a red state, and we're very business friendly. We're no state income tax, which is nice. We're all about it's freedom here. There's a lot of room. There's a lot of space. Couple of blue cities, but the vast majority of the state is just awesome. So anyway, that was kind of a shock to see that. Not really a shock, but it was kind of shocking. I'm not shocked that they're moving.
But a shock.
Yeah, right. I actually didn't know that they were in New York, because I would have thought that would be maybe the second worst state to be.
Next to California. I was about to get into that. Like, I was reading an article about California wanting to raise corporate taxes to help the homeless, and I was like, wait, what? But I mean, you got corporations fleeing right now out of California. You want to just raise taxes even further? All right, cool.
And they're going to. They even said they're going to. To pay. They got all these bailouts and stuff. And now with Biden's going to be president on Tuesday, and it's just
Who's got bets on the stock market bubble going boop?
I'm not so sure about the stock market. I think that the stock market is a reflection of the successes of businesses, not necessarily who's president. It does play a part, but I don't think it's as big a part as people think. I think it's more of a separate entity that just rises off the profits of big businesses. So, if you're a stockholder, then
I'm foreseeing a bubble pop in here. That's what I'm foreseeing.
Well, we've already seen
with this $1.9 billion stimulus package that he's planning already right off the bat, and he hasn't been president a day yet. So,
which had pissed off a lot of lefties, man. AOC was up there on the microphone. She's never two steps away from a microphone and a camera, but she was complaining that you said $2,000. I'm like, well, 1,400 plus 600 is 2,000. And
he said something.
And he was never specific. I guess he was when he was campaigning in Georgia for the Democrats. He did say $2,000 checks would be going out if they took control of the Senate. But I think he's going to have a hard time, and we talked about this last week. I think that Biden's going to have a hard time with the new stimulus because of who was that? The West Virginia senator is more of a centrist, center-right person. He said, "Hey,
Tulsi Gabbard too. She's more of a centered Democrat, which is actually weird to say, but
and they're like taking care of this Rona thing, getting treatment centers and vaccines and vaccine rollout is more important than getting money into people's pockets. And I don't know. I don't have anything to complain about. I was fortunate enough to keep my job. I'm working the same hours. I suffered no ill effects from any of the shutdown stuff, so I can't speak. It's got to suck to have a job where the doors basically closed up and you have no more job, and you can't find another job, or you live in a place that's just, or in a state or a city that's overrun with all these bureaucrats, like in California, that are just shutting down everything and no one can do anything. I'm not in that position. I can't even empathize with that. I couldn't imagine what that's like.
I've got friends that live in some of them places, and it's just insane. I don't know if you follow what's his name, El Presidente from the Barstool. He does the pizza reviews or whatever. He put together. He's
Barstool
a big
Sports.
New York guy.
Yeah.
He put together a huge small business fund because of the lockdowns, the draconian lockdowns. You could eat outside, but you had to eat inside a tent, and it makes, none of it makes sense. But he's been helping. I mean, it's just, this whole thing's been, I'm having flashbacks.
So anyway, big news of the week. President Trump has been impeached. He's got the impeachment with an oak leaf cluster now.
2 times, my man.
First president in history to get impeached twice. There's a graphic for that. Look at this guy. One of our guys at the station, right? Was it Radar? No, it was Ship. Ship made the impeachment medal with the star on there. Impeachment charges are political. They're not criminal. The president was accused by Congress of inciting the storming of the Capitol on 6 January. During a speech to rally his people outside the White House. He urged his supporters to, quote, peacefully and patriotically, end quote, make their voices heard, but also to, quote, fight like hell against the election that he said that had been stolen. His exact words, of many that were said, it was quite a long speech. He says, he said, quote, we are going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen. We are probably not going to be cheering for much of some of them. He later followed that up by saying, I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Following President Trump's remarks, his supporters broke into the Capitol, forcing lawmakers to suspend the certification of the election results, and they were forced to take shelter. The building was placed into lockdown, and AOC said that, quote, she almost died.
Oh, no.
The article of impeachment stated that Mr. Trump, quote, repeatedly issued false statements asserting that the presidential election results were fraudulent and should not be accepted. It says he then repeated these claims and willfully made statements to the crowd that encouraged and thus resulted in the lawless action at the Capitol, leading to the violence and the loss of life. President Trump gravely endangered the security of the United States and its institutions of government, threatened the integrity of the democratic system, interfered with the peaceful transition of power, and imperiled a cogwheel branch of government. Big words. Last week, 139 Republicans voted against accepting the result of the 2020 election. Democratic mayors in some of the largest cities in the United States have been actually encouraging lawlessness as they push for the defunding the police departments in the wake of the George Floyd death. Are any of these guys being censured or no one's being prosecuted on that?
Who was it? What's her face? Kathy Griffin, the one that held
the severed head. Yes.
Yeah. She's still going off on Twitter, and yeah.
So here's some quotes from some well-known people. Representative Ariana Presley called for, quote, unrest in the streets to defeat President Trump. The day after she said those words, Adam Hayner, age 40, was beaten nearly to death after he was forcibly taken out of his truck by BLM protesters. Representative Maxine Waters called on her supporters to publicly confront and harass members of the Trump administration in response to the zero-tolerance policy that led to the separation of families at the border. She said, quote, if you see anybody from the cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them. Those words resulted in many elected officials being violently harassed while out in public. It also resulted in some of them being refused service outright. Nancy Pelosi, heard of her? On the same subject of children being separated from their parents, I prefer the term adult guardians, as many of the minors coming across the border come across with adults that aren't actually family. She says, quote, I just don't even know why there aren't any more uprisings in the country. And maybe there will be when people realize that this is a policy that they defend, the separation of children from their families. She also failed to mention that it was the Obama policy that the Trump administration was simply enforcing. Kamala Harris, I've heard of her before. Kamala Harris on the on the Stephen Colbert Show about the protests and BLM riots throughout the USA says they, meaning the protesters, and this is really hard to follow, and these are her words. These are her words. They, the protesters, not going to stop. They're not going to stop. They're not. This is a movement, I am telling you. They are not going to stop, and everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day, and everyone should take note of that on both levels. They're not going to let up, and they should not, and we should not. Colbert again asked Harris, how important is it for these protesters to continue? And Harris responded that this is critically important, saying that some of the success achieved around the criminal justice reforms would not have happened in recent years without the efforts of Black Lives Matter. Another example, in 2018, thousands of activists and protesters from the Sunrise Movement stormed the Capitol and unlawfully entered and occupied Nancy Pelosi's office. I wonder what happened. Let's read a little bit further. Pelosi responded by saying, we welcome the presence of these activists and strongly encourage the Capitol Police to allow them to continue to organize and participate in our democracy. I'm getting ill. I guess, you just don't need any more examples of just the
hypocrisy.
It's very hypocritic.
You're mentioning all this stuff, and I would like to point out one thing.
What's that?
On the election night, or when they decided that, hey, Biden had won, and there was all these people outside of the D.C., White House, and F Trump, all those people that were peacefully protesting out there were actually waiting for the reverse to happen so they could have flipped out and burned D.C. down. But the media didn't talk about that. Huh?
Probably. I bet you they had signs hidden in the bushes, pre-made for weeks.
They were already talking about it all over the internet, like Twitter and all this stuff. If Trump wins, we're storming the White House. Blah, blah, blah. None of that stuff got censored. None of it. Zero bit of it got censored. That enticing of violence was allowed on. But, since it didn't happen that way and everything kind of worked out the way they wanted it to, it kind of just, okay, guys, shuffle off the side here. We don't need you now.
Tina Ramos over in the chat says a really good point. The two wrongs don't make a right. They're both wrong. Both sides are wrong for creating division and inflammatory comments, perpetuating hate among American citizens. I mean, fuck. When you break it all down, we're all Americans. And,
yes, very much so.
And it's 50-50 against each other. I haven't seen the vitriol. I work with a pretty mixed bag at work. I mean, a bunch of different races, different ethnic backgrounds, different political leanings, and we sit around and we talk about it. No one belittles each other. We don't end the arguments or the disagreements with, well, fuck you,
flipping tables and stuff.
No one's flipping tables or throwing tools at each other, man. We have discussions and
act like civilized adults.
Yeah. I think that needs to.
Is that possible?
Probably needs to happen a little bit more. I mean, you shouldn't be afraid to talk about stuff.
Well, I mean, on both sides.
It's uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong. It's an uncomfortable conversation.
Well, I'm me. I'm in dead in the middle, kind of like I don't believe in an affiliation to a party because that's how divisiveness happens, But I believe in something. I can sit there and listen, but there are some people that you try to talk to, and that they believe some of the most weirdest things, like flat earthers, or QAnon. I'll get into that crap. Them people are just insane in my eyes.
Right.
But you've got it on the other side too. The media is always right. They would never lie to us. These fact checkers ain't telling you got to believe the media. You got to believe. There's both sides of the spectrum. There's people just like talking to brick walls. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, you get folks that are just dead set in their ways, and it's like talking to a brick wall. You're not going to get through. So anyway, there was an interesting arrest, and it's this fella. Look at that dude. A left-wing activist who told Fox News last week that he followed a pro-Trump mob into the Capitol in order to, quote, document the siege, is now the subject of a criminal complaint in connection with his alleged participation, according to the Justice Department. John Sullivan can allegedly be heard egging on the protesters in the video that he provided to the FBI, according to the federal criminal complaint. He also shared the video to his YouTube channel and his Twitter accounts, plural, under the pseudonym Jaden X. John Sullivan, age 26, is the founder of a protest group called Insurgents USA. He was charged in a criminal complaint with one felony count of interfering with law enforcement in connection with a civil disorder, as well as a misdemeanor charge of unlawful entry and disorderly conduct. He was charged yesterday in federal court in Washington, D.C. after being arrested by the FBI. He remains in custody in Towele County in his home state of Utah. I really hope I pronounced that right.
Good luck with that.
I don't know. It's Toeele. Towele. Towele. I do not know how to correctly pronounce that, but that's that. He was a.
That was a. Tina said he had too many rippets, and he really does look like he had too many.
He does, doesn't he? But even last week I was saying, there had to be some antagonists in the group that weren't, just pro-Trump supporters. They were just egging on the.
I do believe it. I've seen political cartoons floating around all over the interwebs making fun of people like, oh, Antifa did it. Oh, Antifa did it. Because people were saying Antifa was there, or there was other dissidents in that group that were there egging the mob on, which I mean, but here's your proof, people. There were people there.
So the information, as far as the quantity of people that were arrested has changed drastically in the last couple of days. I captured a little graph that kind of showed the breakdown of the charges that are levied against these people that were quote unquote rioting. Most of them were curfew violations, followed by charges of unlawful entry. Then it goes way down to carrying a pistol without a license, possession of unregistered ammunition, possession of a large...
Yeah, those are all DC charges right there.
Yes.
You can get charged for carrying unregistered ammunition if you have like one of those bullet keychains. A lot of I tell people that all the time. You gotta be careful up in DC what you got in your pocket.
Possession of large capacity ammunition feeding device.
So what? All right.
Assaults on a police officer, defacing property, possessing of a prohibited weapon, crossing the police line, intoxication, possession of a firearm on Capitol grounds. One person was charged with the Riot Act. Another person was charged with a resisting arrest. Another was charged with an unregistered firearm, and another one was charged with failure to appear. I don't get that last one, but...
Wait a minute. Were these all charges that happened since this, or is this just like on the night that this all happened?
The published date for this graph was the 7th, so this is the day following. So I'm imagining that all of these things were happening.
This is all things that probably happened in DC that evening and at that point.
But there was a lot of really bad stuff that happened. I mean, there were pipe bombs and stuff like that. I don't know if they've gotten to the bottom of that. That is just messed up beyond everything.
The pipe bomb thing screams Fed boy to me like no one else's business. I don't care what you say. I'm a conspiracy theorist, whatever, but that sounds like, FBI is like, oh, well, there was pipe bombs. There was pipe bombs. I don't believe it. Huh?
I believe there were pipe bombs. I don't believe that they were planted by pro-Trump people.
Pro-Trump people. Yes.
I don't necessarily believe that they were planted by Antifa or the Proud Boys. No. Or anybody else. I think
what you think I said it screams Fed boy all over it. Like, we go back to Christmas. This guy just decides to blow himself up in the middle of Nashville, and he was a conspiracy theorist, and he thought lizard men and shadow people were real. And okay, cool, but why go through all the problem to kill yourself? It makes no sense at all. I don't understand it. So some of the stuff that I've been hearing on the news lately just has my head go like if I could do the Exorcist head thing, turn my head around a little bit. It's just nuts. It's just nuts.
Yeah, I think I think that the news right now, that this has not been a slow news week. I think it has been a slow news week in so much as it's been the same news over and over and over and over and over again. It's nothing really new news. It's just the same crap.
Said when me and my family were out for dinner tonight, and someone mentioned COVID and started talking about COVID. I was like, can I just please sit down and have a dinner without someone mentioning that crap? Please.
I don't know, man. We haven't really had a COVID conversation at work. I mean, usually my boss comes in maybe once or twice a week, and says, hey, as far as the company goes, this is the way things are going. Haven't really heard much of him. A lot of the folks who can work from home are working at home, and they're doing like 2 days of work, in the office or in the labs, and then the other 3 days or so they're working from home. And I give them a hard time because I'm like, they're working from the boat. Because if we need, as a guy who works in the lab building things, if I've got a question, I've got to send like an IM to whichever engineer I need help from, and then wait. And it's usually about 10 or 15 minutes later, then I'll get an answer.
Instead of just being able to walk over to the office and play, hey, I got a question.
Usually it's like 20 steps, and then I can get an answer to my question. But this is, I've got to go log into my laptop, send a message, and then I usually get a phone call right after that, or within 10 minutes or so.
You're at the whim of their time at that point. Huh?
Right. It's not like I'm ever at a work stop or my guys are at a work stoppage, but we got plenty of stuff to do. It's just I love to ask questions, so because if you don't ask questions, then you do it your way, then you can get in trouble if it's done incorrectly or not done with the way that the engineer envisioned it being completed. So that's a kind of a big thing. Yeah, you did it and it works, but you didn't do it the way I would have done it, type of thing.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Exactly.
Plus, engineers like to overthink things sometimes. They just really like to overthink things.
Or they over-explain. It's just
trust me.
I think it's the over-explanation or the
over-engineering things too. Sometimes they just make it way more complicated than it needs to be. I can fix that with a bolt. What?
Or if you go in I guess one of my biggest things is you go and you ask a simple question that requires a simple answer, and you get the history of whatever I'm building all the way back to the atom, to the present. or I get a 1 hour lecture on electronics theory.
Molecular structure.
Yeah. It's
just metallurgy.
I'm like, so I need to use this instead of that. Well, yeah. Okay. You could have said that an hour ago.
Yeah.
So, you know how the cancel culture is kind of doing things, and they're
full-blown cancer. I said cancer. Full-blown cancer. I can't even say it. Cancer culture. Cancel culture. Yeah.
Guess what? It's hit the Marvel universe, and I really hope CQ touches on this. He doesn't. And I'm looking at your hat, dude. They're going after that symbol. I really hope he touches on this. CQ does not ever get political. He's just into.
He loves his pop culture.
He loves his pop culture. He loves his everything. It's great, games and movies and characters and the actors that play the characters. He loves it. It's a passion for him. But this is kind of in his wheelhouse. But the character symbol has been a topic of debate for years after it was adopted as a symbol of pride among some of the U.S. military and law enforcement, as well as some far-right activists. They had to throw this in there. Many have found it alarming that police, as well as potentially violent right-wing groups, find kinship with Marvel's most violent and murderous antihero.
Yeah. That's the thing I always wondered. It's like, why do the police embrace the Punisher so much? If you really read the comics, it's kind of like he was killing police officers.
I've got no personal experience with any of the Marvel. I don't watch the movies and stuff. I'm sure they're wonderful and very entertaining. I think it's just I think the skull's just badass, and it makes for a nice hat like you're wearing right there that people can see there.
This is my favorite hat.
You hardly ever take it off. You sleep with that hat on?
No. I got a beanie I sleep on at night. It's got little bunny ears on it.
It's got bunny ears?
Well, little dog ears. It's the hat from Adventure Time. I don't know if you know about that, but
I don't. Tell me about that.
Adventure Time is like a Cartoon Network show that was like real popular, probably about 10 years ago. It was on everyone was loving it. I liked it, but the main character Finn wore a weird hat with bunny ears on top of it. Well, dog ears, I guess you'd call it. But I got his hat from the show. You
liked it so much you bought the hat.
I just saw it. I was at where was I when I saw it? God, I can't even remember where I was when I saw it. I think it was like a Hot Topic or something like that. I just stumbled in there at a mall one day. I was like, let's look around. I was like, oh, I want that. And I bought it. So the weird way my brain works, I see something, I buy it. I buy some of the weirdest stuff.
So taxes this year, you think taxes are going to be a little bit dicey and different? I went and started like pre-filling out my forms with the information that I've already got. And one of the first questions, and I know after reading a lot of the IRS documentation, one of the first questions that you're asked is like, did you receive your stimulus? I got the first one in 2020, and the second one didn't come until 21. It didn't come until after January 1st.
Well, it was definitely not gonna. Well, it was supposed to happen before, but a lot of people were getting it after, and I helped my grandfather do his today. Helped him get his stimulus stuff straight. So it's just insane. I did mine. I had to do mine. It's not that hard.
Did you have to apply for it, or didn't? I don't know. I don't know what your tax situation is because you don't work, so you don't have to really file income.
I'm disabled. The thing about it is I didn't get the six. Okay, I had to pay taxes back in 2018, I think 19.
Yeah.
Because of a 1099 Charlie I received.
I see.
So I was like, okay, that's earned income, so I paid the taxes on it, no problem.
Okay.
So I got my first stimulus because of that. Well, this time around, since I didn't apply for the whole veterans thing, that kind of not a thing anymore. I had to go just fill out your 1044, and on line 30, I just put 600. I wrote 0 the whole way down and put 600 on there, send it off, and boom, I get my stimulus now.
Okay. I didn't know it required effort. I thought it was maybe an automatic thing if you got like a direct deposit or.
Well, if
you've also moved
originally,
you've also moved like twice.
If you applied, twice. But if you applied for it originally, like disabled veterans, they had the ability to go on IRS and log in and sign up for it. So if they already applied for it, they don't have to worry about applying for it again. Me, on the other hand, I had paid taxes, and this second go around, I didn't get the direct deposit, so I had to go and actually do paperwork to get it. Okay. But it's not difficult. Not difficult at all.
Yeah, I didn't know it required some effort. I don't know I've never not worked, so it's just that's something I don't have experience with.
Well, yeah. I'm good at filling out tax forms. If anyone needs help with their taxes, hit me up.
Are you got a license for that, or do you need a license for that?
I don't.
To be a tax preparer.
I didn't say that, but if you need help
on the down low,
yeah,
you can be the low key tax advisor.
Yeah, if you have questions, hit me up. I might be able to help you out. No?
I'm trying to burn something. We kind of went through a lot of that. I thought that information and all that all that news and stuff would take a little
30
while.
minutes in, and we're like, okay, well, here we are.
I'm fucking out of breath, man.
Whew. We could talk about that capital crap, even though I'm about done about.
So what's okay? So there's a lot of National Guard that are deployed. That's you don't want to
consider an deployment.
No, I think it's just a. What did Mom say? She said they're all there for a change of command ceremony is what they're there for.
Oh yeah, that's actually pretty legit.
She said she was surprised that Duffelblog didn't pick up on the fact that all the National Guard are there for is just to be on the change of command ceremony.
Change. It's the only people that would show up to the ceremony, anyways. But no, I got mad with the media and all these people. Like I won't say leftists or rightists, that just people that big talking blue check marks. Is what I'll say. I'll just say the blue checks. But complaining about the conditions these soldiers are living in and sleep. I was like, what? Man, I would have loved to have been able to sleep on a nice concrete, clean floor.
You know, Tim Kennedy said the same thing. He's just like, these soldiers are sleeping on a marble floor. That's awesome. It beats the heck out of sleeping on,
dirt,
feces infested, dirt.
You risk the chance of catching anthrax laying in the dirt. I don't know. It just blows my mind. And then I saw a picture, another funny picture about the National Guard. As it was AOC, she was tying her hair back into a ponytail. And it says, she said something along the lines of like, she's going to get one of these soldiers in on this new green, and I was like gut busting laughing. I wish I would have saved it when I saw it, but it was so funny.
Oh my gosh. What's up, Nay? Nay's in the chats. Yeah, man, this has changed a whole lot since you worked here. OG. Very OG. Yeah, man, we've got all those troops. I mean, what did ICE talk about last night? He said we have more troops in D.C. than we have deployed over in Afghanistan, in Iraq.
Very much so. That's the sad part about it.
Right.
I had a friend of mine. He's like, usually when you have a change of power and a peaceful democratic republic. It's a smooth transaction. It says the only time you ever have something like this is when there's a coup going on. You know, like all of a sudden, we're gonna military moves in during the I think it's all hyped up. The FBI is saying one thing one day, and then they're saying another day, and then now all of a sudden there's going to be insurrection in all 50 capitals. And
insurrection. That's like the word of the day. I wonder if you can go through all of the main news broadcasts and just kind of
keywords.
How many times did they say insurrection?
Insurrection, thug, domestic terrorists,
right-wing terrorists.
Yes. There's another one that I've been seeing around a lot. It's sedition. Yeah, there's sedition everywhere. You know, it's just these keywords. And it's funny as you see the news saying these keywords over and over again, and then you go into the comment sections of some of these news articles, and it's just like straight up regurgitation pretty much. They're just regurgitating the keywords.
I do participate. I do participate as I'm more of a consumer of the dumpster fire that is Twitter for the most part. And there's a lot, you know, of course, the blue check mark people that are that basically one person will say, and you can't really trace it back to who said it first, but someone will say it and then they'll either retweet it or re-say it. Maybe change out regurgitate it with maybe a couple of words are changed around, trying to sound original, and it's just a big ass echo chamber. To me, it is.
Well, that's CNN on Facebook. If you look at their comment section, just a massive echo chamber. ABC is the same way. Fox is the same way, except on the completely other side of the autism spectrum. But it's just insane that like people just can't just sit and read and formulate and think for themselves anymore. It just blows my mind to the next level. I
think folks log into Twitter to figure out what to think for the day. They can't think for themselves. They just need to go, okay, what am I angry at today? Oh, okay. It's like the word of the day today is insurrection. Use it in a sentence 5 times.
I made a meme for that, even though I kind of misspelled it, but then it kind of worked out. I was like, wait a minute. That actually kind of works out a little bit.
What, misspelling?
It's the guy, you know, the actually guy, actually.
Oh, the actually, yeah.
It says insurrection underneath of it with quotes. And then it's
that,
ABC and Twitter and all these, like, and he's like wearing a CNN badge or whatever it is. And it's the NPC guy is kind of drooling on himself with a blank brain, and it's insurrection. I'll use. I guess I'll use that word today.
Insurrection.
Insurrection. Oh, it's just nuts. It's just nuts. But hey, crazy part about it is we're going to have a lot of woke people here in the next, 3 months. If it takes them that long to read it, it'll probably. 1984 is the top seller on Amazon right now.
Get out of town.
Yes. Or George Orwell. Yeah. That's the number 1 seller right now on Amazon. So
is he still getting kickbacks off of that, or did he like?
He's been dead for a while.
I know, but he's probably got like his.
Oh, his estate or whatever it is, estate. Probably, yeah. It's good. But you can get it for $7 in a paperback.
You wake up in the morning, Martha, we've had a lot of deposits in our checking account. I wonder what this is for. Sales of 1984 from Grandpa George.
It's amazing to the fact that I've talked to so many people my age and they have never read the book. Huh? Like that was like mandatory reading in school when I went through, and some people were just like, no, we never read. We read The Great Gatsby. I'm like, well, you read that piece of shit, you know?
Gosh, that was a while ago for me. I forgot really. We had a book called Serendipity, and it was this massive book with a bunch of short stories. Literature was like a Cliff's Notes for The Great Gatsby, Cliff's Notes for 1984. Granted, I graduated high school in 87, so.
I don't know. I think the most worthless book I read my entire school time was The Great Gatsby, and it's like, oh, this is American. This is great American literature. I'm like,
but so is Mark Twain, and it's all subjective.
I mean, Mark Twain, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn that's American literature. I look at it like that, you know. But you get into the newer, it's just, I don't know. You get me going now.
Well, all the new literature gets into a lot of social justice, a lot of the small guy winning, and just keep on trying, keep on swimming, just keep on plugging at it, and you can do anything, you can be anything. Yeah.
Like read the Odyssey. That's if you want good literature, read the Odyssey.
Odyssey is awesome. There's a lot of lessons. There's a lot of lessons in the Odyssey that you can apply to most everything.
It's kind of funny as I was looking at today because of the whole 1984 thing being top. So it's like I want to go online and just see what everyone's kind of like top 100 books to read before you die kind of thing is nowadays. Not a single one of them had The Art of War on there, which just blew my mind a little bit. Yes, not a single one of them had it on there.
I think that's a useful book. I think if you read it, I don't think there ought to be a top 100 books that you have to read before you die. I think as long as you read something, it's good. Even if it's garbage for your brain, it's just read. Just read.
As funny as every one of them had Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on it.
Really?
Yes, I was like, who's writing these? Oh, it must be my generation that's writing this crap.
Or it's from or that list was from, what the hell is that? What is that? A BuzzFeed. It's like one of those BuzzFeed lists.
BuzzFeed or HuffPo.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta read the Harry Potter before. I was like going through, and I was like, I didn't see Lord of the Rings on it. I was like, what's wrong with this? And like, but that preference is preference, I guess, at that point.
I'm sitting here looking at my entire book collection is right there. I've got, oh my gosh, the best ones, I think. And we talked about Dale Comstock last night. American Badass. That's a really good book. Echo and Ramadi by Husing. We had him on the show. Mark Levin is easy to read. Dan Bongino is easy to read. When I first started getting interested in reading books voluntarily was reading Richard Marcinko, Rogue Warrior. That entire series was just, I mean, I couldn't put the damn books down. And that's the problem with books now, I think it's a problem with me. If the book doesn't grab my attention within the first 5 or 10 pages, it's really.
I've gotten to the point now where I have to force myself to read past so I get invested at least a little bit. You got to invest yourself.
I need to do that because I do the same thing if I watch like a series or something on Netflix or whatever. I'll watch 1 or 2 and give it a fair shake, and then by then it's just like I already like these characters. I got to find out what the end of the story is, and 5 seasons later, I finally reach the end of the story. I need to do the same thing with the books. Give it a fair shake because I was reading. I can't even remember the damn name of the book. I take them in the car every time I go. Like if I get my car worked on, or if I'm going to be waiting somewhere for a long time, and I try to read this book, and I'm like, gosh, we've had these authors on the show before. And it's just, it's horrible. I can't stick with it. And it's not like I've got a short attention span. It's just like, they haven't grabbed me yet. And I want them to grab me. I want to be able to just sit down. TV stays off. I actually miss dinner because I'm reading this book and it's so interesting. I really like those books.
I'll tell you a good book was just for the listeners to pick up is How to Lie with Statistics. This is what it looks like on Amazon I can't get the focus in, but you should read it and it'll awaken you to what the media has been doing with, the graphs and all this crazy stuff as to how they play you on Bill Gates recommended it. And that's the reason why I picked it up.
Yeah. He's the largest. He just became the farmer that largest farm owner in the world. He owns more farmland than anyone in the United States, at least. So he owns the most acreage in the United States. Have you ever flown over the United States? It's mostly nothing. But
except
farmland,
wheat fields and cornfields,
and Bill Gates' empire. I'm going to read that. I'm going to read that news story. I wonder how many tens of thousands of acres he has. hundreds of thousands of acres.
It's well, I mean, think about it. I mean, you're that rich, if you're not buying land, you're an idiot. It's my opinion on it, because it is the rarest commodity.
Well, the thing is, I wasn't rich and I had land, and it sucked because I paid too much for it. I'm just like, fuck. I'm sick of paying for this.
The land never loses its value. Well, it can, but I mean, land is land. I'm a firm believer in that. And I'd really like to invest in a 40 acre somewhere out here in the boondocks of South Carolina somewhere, and just let it and just pay property tax on it. And,
property tax is cheap. Property tax is cheap on unimproved land. Like less than $100. Less than $100 a year.
Well, Virginia did something. It was called return to nature. So if you had property and you just let it return back to wilderness, after 5 years you get a tax exempt on the property.
Oh.
So it was just kind of like for all the guys who like to hunt, and they wanted hunting land, they would just let it return to nature, and bam, the deer got to sleep somewhere.
On Basilisk Station, Basilisk, I can't say that. Basilisk Station by David Weber. No, unless Bob misspelled it. Basilisk. Basilisk Station by David Weber.
Yeah, Basilisk. Yeah, that's it.
Anyway, Bob likes that book.
I mean, there's some really good reads if you're into fantasy. I don't know. Everyone's seen Starship Troopers, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, right? Starship Troopers in the movie, and it was kind of like one of those cheesy B, movies. And then you read the book, and the book is so much better than the movie, like 1,000 times better.
Do people? I mean, we're right now. I mean, even when this radio station started, you have to go and grab people's attention. Because if you don't grab people's attention within a certain amount of time, you're going to lose them. You're not going to have them, because it's just everyone's got this. Everything's got to happen. Boom, 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 boom.
Short attention span. It's
not even having a short attention span, but it's just like if it's not interesting, they just tune out.
There's a YouTube guy on I think he's called the Thinking Ape. It's one of them weird guys that I follow, and he's talking how TikTok is bad for humanity because of. Like you say something like early cavemen had the attention span. You're gonna hunt mammoth. You've got to think it through, and your attention is set on that for days on end. And now our attention span is 30 seconds.
If I can't download the mammoth, I'm just not going to worry about it.
Yeah. So. If the video isn't funny, swipe. We're addicted to just consume. So
yeah. And if you don't like it, you pause it or skip it or.
So yeah,
swipe left.
Listen to it. Well, I actually see some ads that they bring you in. Like I got caught on one today. I was watching a YouTube video, and it was an investment. Jeff Bezos invested so much money in this special company, and that caught me enough to listen to about 2 minutes into the ad, and it was still going on, and they hadn't told me what I wanted to. I was like, you know what, this is a scam. I'm done. Boom, I'm out.
I've been sucked into those. It's like, you need to eat these 3 foods. And then it goes on this diatribe, like it just goes on and on and on and on and on about, and then it gets down to it. It's like, buy my book.
Well, there's a couple Facebook content producers that do that, where he starts out something very interesting, but it's like half of the video is them just fiddling around with stuff or doing stuff, and you get invested into trying to figure out what this did. But they add so much. I don't know if you get paid for like viewage time or something like that. But
3 minutes. I think it's 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, then you start. Then you start earning revenue.
Well, this guy has mastered it, because the way now I see his stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm get off of it, because usually the end result is just like, why did I just waste 3 minutes of my life on that crap?
I mean, but we do. The thing is, we're original content creators. As a radio station, we don't get a dime off of this. I don't get it.
Whatever.
I don't get it.
Well, I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
I think we're going to take a break because you have the bladder the size of a peanut.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Social Dilemma is on Netflix, and it's horrifying. I have heard that, Tina.
Yes. If you have not watched it yet, watch it.
It is on my list.
It'll set you straight, man.
It is on my list.
But break time, right?
Yeah, break time. I guess because Pookie's gotta do the thing. Is that not the P dance? I gotta find my little break graphic. There it is. Okay, this is gonna be a short break. Let me see. Doing math. Ooh, I have to get the right. This is my first time doing this, right? 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.5 minutes. This is gonna be a 7.5 minute break.
All righty.
This is going to be good. So just hang out a little bit. We got some Space Command news. We got some Bitcoin news. We got a pigeon who was sentenced to death. I feel sorry for this little pigeon named Joe.
Poor pigeon.
And we're going to try to stretch that into an hour. This is going to be fun. And y'all can help us because, the phone lines are open. You all can call, too.
No, yeah. They could always call in.
All right, everybody, hang out for a little bit, and we're going to be back in about 7.5 minutes. Shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
This is Randy Couture, and you're listening to WTF Nation Radio.
WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby, or you better hide that big-ass forehead.
All All right, I had to find the right scene. We're back for the second hour of Friday Night Freedom. Welcome all. Branko mentioned Animal Farm, and then that reminded me of, oh yeah, Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies.
There's a lot more books that I've read, or that I'm reading or have been experienced with, that I just don't, I guess I don't give myself credit for as much as I've read.
I don't know, it's just my library is massive, but it's all sitting in the shed right now because I don't really have anywhere to store it. And so most of my good reads are sitting in the closet, and when I get a new book, it sits on the desk and I pick at it, and when I get a chance to.
I've got a couple of books that I'm in Texas, so one I'm fixing to read, one I have just begun to read. I'm fitting, and I'm trying to get. I'm fitting to get interested in that first book, and then I'll be fitting to read the second book. Same authors, two different books. We've had them on the show, so it's just it's kind of
the guy. Was it the author that wrote Burn In?
Yes, yeah. Burn In is one of them, and the other one I can't remember what the author or I can't remember what the title of the other one was. But yeah, it wasn't Burn In. I haven't started Burn In yet. It's the other one that I started. Because Ice talks about it a lot. He's like, "Oh, it's a great book, and
I think my mom's reading Burning right now. I buy books sometimes so they'll stack up, and I'll just, every now and then I'll just like, oh, here, just read this,
What
and
do
I'll just
you
pull
do?
it out of my stack.
What do you do? Okay, I know my my parents read books just. We had bookshelves. My in-laws had bookshelves that just accumulated books, and the books, they would read the books and they would build these beautiful bookshelves, and they would hold these books that they would never touch again. Do you keep your books, or do you?
No, I keep them.
Do you keep the notable books?
It's even the ones that I didn't really like. I think that's like kind of like like a lost thing of like masculinity is everyone wants a man cave, but I think you really should have a study. If real men have studies, you sit there and you've got your desk and get your books, and you can sit down and smoke a cigar and read a book. That's, to me, that's more manly than a man cave with a 90-inch TV. But no, I keep my books because, sometimes someone will say something, you'll be like, wait a minute. And then you go through your library, here, read this. And then you hand it to them. And I like to do the book trade thing where if I give you a book, I don't expect to ever see it again. But
my brother did the same thing. Where the hell is it? Oh, where is it? Where is it? Hold on, I'm gonna get it. My brother gave this to me. He says, "Hey, have you ever read this?" And it's The Trident by Jason Redman. And we actually had him on the show. I'm like, as a matter of fact, yes. That's a damn good show. That's an inspiring book. If you haven't read it, yes, The Trident. So we were talking about
books,
books and stuff.
Yes,
which is kind of
another
boring.
book that I was just before you get on with everything else is, especially with everything going on with the pandemic, is the Screw Tape Letters by C.W. Lewis. I think C.W. Lewis.
Screw Tape, really?
Screw Tape Letters. It's kind of religious in a sense. Not really religious, but it's always like there's a couple in there where it's a kid, someone talking to the devil or whatever it is, but it's really philosophical. And if you get a chance, if you like the fantasy kind of genre, Lewis and Tolkien were fantastic authors, literatures or whatever you want to call it. But the Screw Tape Letters, I would highly suggest for anyone who hasn't read it to read it. Huh?
Hey, D-Max, you said Ready Player 2. Is that a movie where a guy kind of goes into a video game?
I think he meant Ready Player 1.
Ready Player 1?
I didn't know they made sequel to it, so it's just I didn't read the book. Ender's Game was good.
Oh, the
very
book.
good. I read that when I was in the wee little child in school. Ender's Game.
Oh, Ender's Game, yeah. Haven't read it.
Was all right. The movie was great. I love the movie, but the books are good.
So have you heard the news? Space Camp. Space Command is on the move.
Yeah, down to Alabama.
Which is really strange. And everyone, I say everyone, there's a big hubbub saying, "Oh, this is Trump's fault. Trump got Space Command moved to Alabama because that it just fit his narrative." So officials in Colorado Springs are slamming the Trump administration's decision to move the U.S. Space Command from its temporary location in their city of Alabama, claiming that the move was based on President Trump's personal interest. But Fox News had reported that the Air Force Secretary Barbara Barrett was the person that made the decision.
I got something for Spanky, though. She said Alabama isn't close to space. That would be the last place that aliens would look for our space command because of the meth labs and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So,
and I've got a graphic. It was actually it was this story, and then there's how news organizations have like little comment sections on the bottom. It's just huge. It was so awesome. Maybe I'll just this is what the comment said. It says, shouldn't the Space Command be located in space? And then someone replied to that and says, this is the reason they dropped Pluto as a planet, because it got blown up in training.
That's why I love Twitter. It's because sometimes, like the whole coyote incident. I'm just gonna throw you off on this.
Oh my gosh, coyotes are bringing kids across the border.
The coyote incident had me dying. It's just like some people. Those are the people that need to pick a book up and read a book.
Some people are. It's like, are they trolling? And I always, do they not know? I don't know, because there's people don't know. Sometimes people don't know. Are they faking that they don't know?
I really do believe it was a Space Force and everything. We're going to be talking this. I think aliens have landed here, but they landed here and determined that there was no intelligent life on this planet and left. That's my firm belief on it. They've been here, but they're like, everything here is dumb as rocks.
So are we like a galactic trailer park?
Actually, we would make a really great reality TV show. I think was it Rick and Morty or one of them made fun of that, where it was kind of like the Earth is just a big old South Park did it? South Park did it. No.
Okay.
Earth is just a reality TV show, and they were about to cancel it and destroy Earth, and they tried to convince them, like, no, this is great. Keep watching.
You're going to cancel Earth. No, don't do that. This is awesome. We are the Jerry Springer of the galaxy. So anyway, Space Command is on the move. The U.S. Air Force on Wednesday announced that the Space Command's headquarters would be officially moved to Huntsville, Alabama Redstone Arsenal after an intense lobbying battle between 6 finalists. I know San Antonio was on that list. I think I've got the list at the end of the story.
I don't see why not Houston, but I mean...
The prospect of leaving Colorado will not be easy for thousands of Air Force personnel and contractors who have called the Rocky Mountains their home for decades. Over 18,000 people are based at the combined Peterson-Shriver Garrison, the current home of U.S. Space Command, according to Air Force officials. Our space... this is a funny quote. This is a funny quote. I couldn't read this without reading it again and then smirking. Our space people grew up in Colorado. That is their home, one Air Force official said. It's where all of our space stuff is.
You had me at space people.
The space people thing.
I just got one question. You might be able to answer it, but okay, the Space Force formed. Did they just take like a bunch of Air Force personnel and just kind of been like, guess what? Like they did with the Army Air Corps. They just said, you're now the Air Force, so these Air Force airmen and whatever are now space people?
The way that I understand it, it's going to be forward staffed with people who are appointed, and then by an application process, people are being brought over from all branches.
Because I saw a video floating around, I think today, it was, where it was like the first actual enlistees of the Space Force. Mm-hmm. Floating around.
There is so much. Bob Bulow has a really good point. He says, I was stationed at Redstone Arsenal. There's a lot of space industry in northern Alabama. Absolutely, there is.
I believe it.
There's a lot of aviation work. I work in the aviation fields.
Boeing's is it Boeing that's in Georgia or is it in Alabama? Or which one? There's Lockheed. I can't remember. I know there's a big one in close to Atlanta somewhere.
Lockheed is everywhere. Boeing, Philadelphia.
Okay. I don't know. I just remember seeing this massive plant. It was like Lockheed or one of the big guys, Lockheed Martin, Boeing. General Dynamics. I don't.
GD is everywhere. Yeah, Lockheed has the project I was working on 2 years ago. It was a competition between different aviation suppliers.
Raytheon, that's the one I was thinking of.
Raytheon.
I think Raytheon's near Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a Raytheon plant just a little bit away from me. Texas is a big.
All these guys making lots of money.
Yeah.
I would have loved to get a job. I would have loved to get a job with one of those big contracting companies.
Oh, where was my train of thought on this?
You were on the Space Force talking about.
Oh no, I was on a project. I still am on a project, but it was a couple of years ago. We were really hot and heavy, and it was a competition between manufacturers of rotorcraft, and Lockheed makes the avionics for this. But like Sikorsky is in this competition as well, and Lockheed makes their avionics, and Bell was in the competition too, and Lockheed made the avionics that are in this aircraft. And so no matter who wins the contract, Lockheed's going to win. Which, I mean, Lockheed is so massive. They're in space. They're on boats. They're everywhere. They're on satellites. It's just they have.
Sure, Lockheed has a little piece of equipment on one of the Mars rovers floating around somewhere. I almost guarantee it. Huh?
Right.
I think Lockheed does the MLRS for is it Lockheed? I think Lockheed does the MLRS for the Army. I think.
I don't know. You know, I heard MLRS really isn't artillery.
I don't know, man. When you could blow up a whole grid square,
you can take out an entire grid square. I think that's artillery enough for me.
It's Patriot that isn't really air defense artillery. You're not really hitting the ground with anything. You're just blowing missiles up.
Yeah, I work with a guy that can't.
Sorry, my fellow ADA member, people, whatever, but I'm talking shit.
I work with a guy who was a Patriot missile repair guy. And he doesn't have aviation. He doesn't have aviation experience, but he's working with me, working aviation, and he doesn't get aviation. He's older. He's much older than I am, and he's just talking about
Reminds me of an NCO I had working with me. I'm a communications guy. That was my thing. So I would get stuck everywhere. But I was in a ADA unit. And I remember first sergeant coming into the talk one night. We were doing a field op, and he said, "This shit doesn't take a rocket science to figure it out." And God, I can't remember his last name, but Staff Sergeant stood up and says, "All right, I'm out of here," because he had a master's degree in pretty much rocket science. So, he's like, "All right, I'm out."
I'm just gonna delegate, man. You take care of this, dude. That's funny.
In-flight missile repair.
So where do we leave off? The space people and space stuff. Space this is where all our space stuff is. The garrison.
Space stuff.
And this is amazing. The garrison in Colorado Springs brings an estimated $2.6 billion annually to Colorado Springs. That's a lot of money. The official said that in the short term, it makes sense for the U.S. Space Command to remain in Colorado Springs, but admitted that the facilities in the area are very full. Okay, so why not?
Oh, yeah, like NORAD and everything up that way.
NORAD's up there. Yeah. Why not expand?
I guess so. I mean, but there's a lot of people up in that area that
have your headquarters in Colorado Springs, or have what you have in Colorado Springs, and then just go over to your neighbor in Alabama and then use some of their stuff.
Exactly. Expand. What do they say? Expand or die? That's the old term.
Expand or die.
Yes.
No, D-Max, I do not work with Boeing. I did work on a Boeing project, though.
He said, "Old steadfast and loyal over here, Doc Derek." I was fourth ID when they were still at Hood, and I was division artillery. So, ooh.
Dude, I was what the hell? We turned into fourth ID at Hood. Fourth ID came in.
Loyal.
I was 6 Cav, and then it went to 13 Corps Support Command, and then we got sucked into, or fourth ID came, and then we got assimilated into fourth ID. That was right at the time that I was ETSing.
Fourth ID was like this big, massive black hole you didn't want to get sucked into.
And that's what we heard, too. You don't want to be here. So all these people were like reclassing to EOD to get out of being with fourth ID.
See, Doc says he was 2nd Warhorse Brigade, and I'm just going to say you guys had the best defect on the entire Fort Hood installation when 4th ID was still there. I don't know about now Carson, but...
was that down in 2AD area? 2nd Armored?
So this is all... I'm trying to think. This is closer to...
What?
The aviation side of everything, because 4th ID kind of migrated over towards where aviation was at.
Okay, so. Yeah, because I was on that airfield side, not West Fort Hood, but I was on, or North Fort Hood. I was on that other side.
The other side.
The other side, the cool side. So we'd always run to the 2nd Armored Division tower and then come back, and that was usually what our runs were.
I used to hate those runs, running the whole way down.
I didn't like them, but dude, I kind of miss it. I've been out since '96, and I do find myself missing.
So see, I look back and I'm like, how the hell did I run like that? Because if I tried to run down the road 30 feet, I think I'd break something.
If I tried to run up the stairs, I'd probably have a coronary. Maybe not that bad, but
I don't know. My blood pressure doesn't allow me to run too far, so.
I haven't, ever since I got on blood pressure meds, I don't want to sound like this is the old folks show. Thanks for tuning in to WTF Nation Radio. But yeah, I haven't tried to run. I do biking. I ride bikes a lot.
Good. Low impact cardio is good for you. Good for legs.
But I haven't tried to, and I'll walk. Like when my daughter was here, we'd walk the dog every night. But I really have not tried to run. I hate running. I freaking hate it. The reason I don't do it is because I hate it. I was made to do it for so long. I just don't like to do it.
It destroyed my knees and my back. That's what I really do believe. That's why my back and my knees are so jacked up. It's because, hey, we're gonna go run from this PX to this next PX. Wait, that's like a 16-mile run. Why are we trying to do that crap? Or like 8-mile run? Or like why are we doing this on a Monday? You're trying to kill me for the rest of the week.
See, I never minded rucking. I preferred rucking.
Rucking was easy for me.
Me too.
I used to like it. We'd do the when I was stationed at Bragg, we would do the 18th Airborne
back at Bragg.
Back at Bragg. We do the Dragon challenge where you had to do, I think it was like a 20K in under 3 hours or something like that. It's child's play. I used to love that shit.
It was like aerosol school. You did. What was that 12 miles in 3 hours? I think is.
It's just child's play. It's child's play. You got to have at least 35 pounds on your back. Yep. Something along the lines of that. Something. I liked it. I used to throw a little bit more weight on my back. Just to be high speed.
Just to be a badass.
I was still a leg. I didn't jump out of no perfectly good airplane, so.
I recall that. That's about it.
No. We're team old now. I'm not even that old.
No, you're not. You're not.
I'm a young buck. What are y'all talking about?
So anyway, back to Colorado Springs. The garrison brings an estimated $2.6 billion annually to Colorado Springs, according to their website. The official said that in the short term, it makes sense for U.S. Space Command to remain in Colorado Springs, but admitted that their facilities are very full, like I said. And that's when I said, let's just make like a second office for the Space Command. It could be up to 6 years before the U.S. Space Command finds a new home due to the environmental impact studies that have to happen. I don't know why
environmental impact studies.
Well, unless that kind of lets me know that okay, they're going to be occupying new land. It's not like something that's been developed.
They're going to make their own little.
They're going to make their own
space base.
Space base.
Space base.
So, other finalists, and I was kind of surprised at some of these, most of them not. There were 6 finalists, including Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado, Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico. I actually forgot about Kirtland Air Force Base. I've done time at Kirtland. I love Kirtland. I really like Kirtland Air Force Base. It's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's if you ever been to Albuquerque, there's a fine line of good Albuquerque, bad Albuquerque. Excuse me.
You got that Rona?
No, I hope not. I've been Rona free since last March, so I think I'm okay. I'm doing things right. Let me see. Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska, Patrick Air Force Base in Florida, which would have been a good choice.
Should have just went to Fort Polk.
Oh no.
just made the Space Force's lives miserable.
Oh, that's absolutely bad. Brown water and everything. They would not know how to deal with that.
Oh my God, they'd get so much. What do they call it? Substandard living pay.
I lived when I was at Fort Campbell. We had a weather observer from the Air Force who lived in our barracks. He worked in the air traffic control tower. And we would play pool every night after work, and he's just like, I get paid for living in Army barracks because it's not an Air Force barracks. He got paid. He had his own damn room. He was only like an E4.
Substandard living.
Substandard living.
Yes, it's a legit thing.
So good on him. Good on him.
That just says something about the Army. The Air Force comes in loud. We got to pay you more. We're sorry for this shit.
I don't know, man. I had a good experience as far as the barracks go. Of course, when you get to the replacement detachment, whenever you get to a new place, those barracks are usually really bad. Fort Hood was especially bad, but our barracks were good. They were quads. So you have like 3 floors, 4 rooms to a floor, at least 2 people to a room. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm doing a math. Like, I think those are what we used to call the starships.
Starships.
Yeah, the starship barracks or whatever.
But I had friends who were infantry or or tankers or something, and they would live in these dorms that were just a building that was a mile long, and it was just room after room after room after room, and
that's how it was. I lived at when I was at Hood, the barracks that I stayed in was like that. It was just. You got this one balcony and there's doors. It looked like a Motel 6 or something like that. Yeah.
And these guys, and we've even had when we used to have on the old WTF Nation radio, where people would call in with webcams and they would show. It's just like there's 5 or 6 or 8 guys in a room, and in those hotel, as you described, the long ass hallway with door after door.
I'm about to say, suck it up, Buttercup.
Well,
I lived in a hangar for a while with I think 500 dudes, asshole to belly buttons. So get over it.
And I mentioned that last night when in the chats last night, like sleeping in a fucking in a parking garage in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia during the first invasion of Iraq, or the first Gulf War.
The Persian Gulf War. Yeah.
The Persian Gulf War. So anyway, the Alaska,
it's like sleeping out in a bivouac. You're out there and you're sleeping, and you got fire ants crawling over you, chewing you up all night while you're trying to sleep under a poncho shelter. Just there's a lot worse places you can sleep.
But now I think the barracks are really good. I think they're everything's built by contractors, so there are failures, and there's like mold issues. I don't know where that stems from. I don't know if it's a ventilation thing. I don't know.
I know President Bush came down to Bragg because of that whole black mold issue.
Back at Bragg.
Back at Bragg, yeah. I mean, my first barracks room in Bragg, I walked into it, and there's black mold just creeping out of the AC unit. And I'm like, well, it reminds me of Hood, so I'm at home, you know.
Hey, I'm already immune to this shit. We always changed our filters. I don't know if they'd ever been cleaned like properly. You know, Fort Hood, when I was in 6 Cav, I stayed in the same barracks. I was in 6 Cav. We had the same Starship looking barracks. I went to Fort Campbell in Korea and then came back into the same damn barracks. Not the same room, but the same barracks. And I don't know if those had ever been properly cleaned, but they everything worked. I mean, I never had a problem with hot water. I really hated the fact that the air conditioning never turned on until, you know, it didn't get hot.
Like July.
Yeah, there was like a calendar date yes. to when the AC and that water chiller by the damn DFAC turned on. Whenever that turned on,
it was Department of Public Works that was in charge of that shit. Yeah, because they would always do that to us. They'd like shut the heat off until, you know, you're damn near, you got snot sickles hanging out your nose. Oh, it's time to turn the AC on. I mean, the heat on.
I don't know, man. I never. You know what? Okay, Bob said the 101st. I did live in a barracks that was like the. I was in 8th of the 101st. So yeah, our barracks were kind of old. And it was you walk in one door and there was just this long ass line of rooms. Each room had
Schofield barracks that I used to hear so much crazy shit about, like how horrible they were. Out the Schofield barracks is out at Hawaii, right?
Yeah, yeah, but you're in paradise.
Well,
gang latrines, exactly, Doc. Yeah.
Gangbang showers and shit. Huh?
I never had a gangbang shower after basic. Let me see, basic. AIT, we had the gangbang showers. But after that, it was all, there was a shower in your room.
I just like how the term gangbang, like I said that to my mom. Like, she's a corrections officer. So I was like, yeah, we had gangbangs. She's like, what?
Well, it's like high school showers. You stand around this big thing that has, 8 spigots out of it. And
everyone's trying not to look at each other's junk, but everyone's staring at each other's junk.
Yeah, Bob, we had barracks when I was in Korea, and our Katusas lived in the Quonset huts. Our Katusas lived in the Quonset huts, and officers lived in the Quonset huts. Officers who didn't live off base lived in the Quonset huts, and they had like half of the damn hut to themselves. It was a pretty sweet deal.
I don't know what this Quonset hut thing is.
Quonset hut is picture a cylinder made out of corrugated aluminum, huge. Massive.
Like a silo kind of.
Yeah. Cut it in half.
Okay.
Cut it in half. Right. And then you're living in half in that half, that semicircle.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No, it's not. It's really not that bad.
The only thing I ever heard, I missed out on my chance to go to Korea because, I could have, but I didn't. I signed a debt statement. I was like, I ain't dealing with this shit. But everyone talked about the turtle ditches.
Mm-hmm.
Like being the devil when you're drunk. Like, just watch out for the turtle ditches when you're drunk. They kept telling me that because I was about to go to Korea. And that's the only advice they kept giving me is like, watch out for the turtle ditches.
All that means is, and Red Lake talked about this too. You go down to the Ville, you get fucked up, and you come into the gate. The buses have stopped running, so you're forced to do the walk of shame. My walk of shame was at Camp Humphreys, where you walk from the gate to, if you were in 3rd Intelligence, was it 3rd? What the hell was it? There was a unit that was to the right when you walk onto the gate at Humphreys, and that was like maybe a 100-yard walk. But I lived on the other side of Humphreys, so you would walk it was a good couple of miles to get to your barracks. And there's on the side of the road, you have a road, and then there's this humongous, it's a concrete drop-off. And drunk people fall in it all the time. It's like a black hole for drunk people. It just sucks them in.
They just said, "Watch out for the turtle ditches." That's what they kept telling me. So I was like, "All right, I don't know."
All it is a drainage ditch. All it is a drainage ditch, and
Right.
it goes down
like,
several 8 or 10 feet at an incline. It's not like you drop off; it's at an incline. But yeah, and if you're intoxicated and you're in a turtle ditch and it's not full, it's really hard to get up, just because you're uncoordinated and intoxicated. But if there's water in it, then you're like stinky and nasty.
Okay, I got you. Because I was one of them things where I would kind of regret not going to Korea. I wish I would have went.
Korea was good. I was really to tell you the truth. I went. Let's see. From AIT, I went to Hood, where I was in 6 Cav, and then after a year, I got orders to go to Korea, and I was like, oh shit. Because my dream sheet said Italy and Germany, but none of that stuff was Fort. Where the hell did I want to go in Seattle? It's JR. It's not JRB. It's
Irwin.
JBLM.
The Fort
Irwin's California.
Is that what's the one up there? Lewis.
Fort Lewis. Fort Lewis was on my dream sheet. But yeah, I got this in my orders to go to Korea, and I was scared. I was really scared. I went through replacement. I got assigned to Humphreys. I got to my unit, met some cool folks, and everything. I think I stayed in my barracks room for about a month, because I was like, oh my gosh, if I go out the gate, I'm going to catch VD, and then I'm going to get the black VD. And
the black syphilis or whatever.
The black syphilis, and they're going to send me to the Philippines. I'm never going to see the United States again. Oh my gosh! I was a PFC when I went there. But after experiencing some of the things, I had really good leadership and good teams to work with, and we went downtown and it was great. I joined a band and we played all the clubs. I was in the Soldier Show for shit. We got stop lost in Korea for the first Gulf War, and so I was already on orders to go to Lewis, and then we got stop lost, so everything's off the table, and my command's like, okay, we've already replaced you. We don't need you. If you want to do the Soldier Show, you can do the Soldier Show. So I toured the entire fucking country of Korea for almost 3 months, and then they're like, okay, we're gonna give you a PT test, and then you got to get out of here. I'm like, PT? I haven't done PT in 90 days. Shit. That was hard, and then I went to Fort Campbell. Got back in shape, and I was
just do what I do. I'll give advice to any of the privates, specialists out there that have a hard time doing their PT tests. Just drink a shit ton of whiskey the night before, and just stumble in there, and you'll smoke your PT test every time.
That's really bad advice. Please.
I've done it a couple times. I remember my first sergeant looking at me as I'm puking after the 2 mile, and he's like, I can't believe you pulled that off. I can smell the whiskey on you.
Well, even when I was in Korea, we had, the entire formation smelled like soju, and the people that didn't smell like soju were the only people that complained about people smelling like soju. It was
either that or you smell like kimchi.
Oh, gosh, man. God. And Bob Buell's like, we can go a whole week just telling Korea stories. I'd like Korea. After about my first month, I just kind of went down, experienced it, and I ended up, going through several tours in tours of like museums and the university in Seoul, and just seeing Latte World, and then going down to Jeju Island and seeing the entire country. It's really nice, dude.
Did you ever get to see the Penis Island?
Jeju Island, yeah.
That's where there's just penises everywhere.
No, they're really big on ginseng, and ginseng is good for the libido and stuff. So.
Yeah, because I had a friend of mine. She went over there, and she was all about like there's some of their burial sites kind of look like dick and balls, because we were in the field. Pictures of it, I was like, "Is that a dick?"
We were in the field, and it looks like a really good defensive firing position, but it's actually someone's grave. So we got yelled at. That's not a defensive fighting position. Move on. Oh God, that was when I went to PLDC. They call it something else now. Anyway, the last site for the Space Command was Port San Antonio in Texas. That would have been cool. More stuff moving to Texas.
Texas just needs all the industry. This what it needs.
God, there's so much going good here in Texas, and it's just, I mean, Texas doesn't have. Yes, Bob, the Happy Hills.
See, the only thing that Texas has going bad for it right now is that In-N-Out cancer that's kind of spreading through it. You know, like Texas is about Whataburger and Buc-ee's. You know, just In-N-Out's just blasphemy in Texas.
I've eaten both. Eating at In-N-Out is more convenient than finding a Whataburger, because the line is usually pretty damn long and the service is slow. So I will go to In-N-Out. I do like both of them. As far as flavor goes, if you just want a plain Jane cheeseburger with everything on it and you don't really care much about flavor, go to In-N-Out. If you want a burger that has flavor, go to Whataburger. Because I mean,
I was about to say you need to. You were about to lose your Texas card there for a second.
Were you gonna hang up on me, man? No, I do like
Texas card.
I do like Whataburger for the flavor, but you have to get the I forget what the damn burger's called. I don't eat out very much, so
let's get the number one. I like the jalapeno. The jalapeno, I think it's at number 4 on the menu. I used to know the whole menu on top of my head, but it's been so long.
No, it's got it's got peppers on it. It's a double patty with cheese, and it's got a bunch it's got jalapenos and a bunch of other stuff on it. That's probably
jalapeno. It's the same one I get. I think it's number 4. The last Whataburger that I had was when I was leaving Florida officially with all my stuff, and there is a Whataburger in Jacksonville.
Are you telling me you don't have a Whataburger where you are?
No, they stopped. I think there's this like magical line. They used to go the whole way down into Florida, but apparently, you know, all the Yanks and snowbirds that live in Florida didn't like the Whataburger. So at Jacksonville is the only place on the East Coast where there's Whataburgers. So as me and my mother were driving back, she's a Texan too, and we were like, Whataburger, cool. You know, that was the last time I had Whataburger, which was probably about a year ago.
Let me see. We got the barbecue bacon burger, the Whataburger, the double meat Whataburger, the triple meat jalapeno cheese Whataburger. That's not it.
Number 4 is my go-to. When I walk in there, it's the regular jalapeno cheese burger. That's
exactly what that is. It's a special. Gosh, it's. Gosh, I forget what it's called. It's so delicious. There's so much cheese and peppers on it. And it's it's not full.
They do like seasonal burgers like once a month.
Or if you ask them for it, they'll make it. If you know what you're asking for, they'll make it for you. All-time favorites and specials. That's not it. Patty melt is good.
But if you want to talk about burger joints, there's only one burger joint in the world that has a pair of Ariat cowboy boots with its logo on it, and that is Whataburger.
What about Shake Shack? Have you ever done Shake Shack?
I haven't. A lot of people say it's pretty good.
I've heard it's really good.
I've thought that was close. Like I even said, I was like, if it wasn't for their crappy, what do they call them, shoestring fries, with the crinkle fries or whatever it is, I don't like them things. If it wasn't for the crinkle fries, I'd say they'd be on par with Whataburger. Was the Culver's.
I haven't heard of that. How about Steak and Shake?
Steak and Shake is good, but
Steak and Shake is legit. I really like their The only thing I've ever had at Steak and Shake is the Frisco melt. I fell in love with it, and whenever I go to Steak and Shake, that's what I get. I'll get that, and then whatever flavor milkshake suits me.
That's one of them ones that is going. Actually, going from what I read on Forbes a while back, is one of the ones that's been hit like hardest by this whole COVID lockdown thing. Is Steak and Shake, and it's sad, is because they're a big franchise thing. Where it's individuals owning the chain, you know, so it's like individuals losing pretty much a small business at that point.
Very much. Ours is doing pretty good. The only thing I don't like about the restaurant, and every Steak and Shake, when you walk through that first door, there's a set of double doors. You go through one door, then another door to get into the restaurant. It smells like a locker room. It's just, the smell is very bad. It's horrible.
It's because they don't clean their mops properly, is what it is. You know, their mop heads stink, and when they mop, it just stinks. Trust me, I know that.
Well, it's like in the Army, that same same mop head thing.
Mop the barracks. You know?
Oh God.
You know, I used to smoke in my barracks room, and you weren't allowed to do that. And I figured the trick out to doing it is I'd wake up 4:30 in the morning every day, and I had a mop with a towel on the end of it. And I would sprinkle bleach on it, and I would just bleach the floor real quick, and they'd walk in. You can't like, as soon as you hit that bleach smell, you can't smell anything after that. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And if it smells like bleach, it must be clean, right?
Hey, Doc Derek says, I lost my uncle this morning at 09:30. COVID took his ass at 71. I'm sorry, dude. That sucks. It fucking sucks. And we've had a kind of a spell of people's parents dying from the Rona. And you know, one of my programmers, his mom died, and then one of the guys that I work with, Randy, his mom died from the Rona as well. And it sucks, man. It's kind of picking people off, and it
really hitting the older generation a lot harder than from what I've seen. A lot of the older generations getting hit harder by it. Huh?
I get kind of nervous. My dad went to the VA, got on the list, and they're like, "Hey, you're over 65, so you're going to be on the top of the list." So the 14th, which was yesterday, he got his first shot. I haven't talked to him yet. I'm going to call him tomorrow. But, you know, you have to get 2 shots. So he had one shot yesterday, and then his follow-up shot is going to be sometime in February. I'm trying to get on the list, but I don't fit into any of the criteria. I don't have any. I'm not overweight. I'm not a diabetic, and so on and so forth. I don't have heart disease. So it's just like, I just got to hang out and wait until they have some extra vaccines.
I know my grandfather was stayed on the phone probably about 2 hours a day trying to get a hold of, because they open the vaccines up, and it just seemed like everyone just flooded to it, and he falls just magically under that, like, what, phase 1, where he's like a year younger than, so all these people are now flooding in to get it. And I was saying, if you're young, let everyone else get it. No? You know, if you're not at risk, you're young, don't worry about the vaccine. Just let the older people, the people at risk, get it first. Just be considerate about it. No?
Exactly. And that's why, you know, the rich folks, and what the hell was that? Who was the basketball player that says, you know, since we earn so much money, we should be skipping the line?
I'm rich and I get the vaccine first. You know, no, that's not how it works. That's why I got mad about a lot of these politicians getting it. Like, just like, you don't need that right now. You're young, you know. But they're like, make sure you get your rolling their sleeves up and getting it. I'm like, okay, well, you got the vaccine first.
It's just,
there's people in elderly homes that need it.
I understand them getting the shot and saying, hey, look, you know, it's not that bad. I'm not gonna croak here. But, dude, you're taking someone else's spot that could really use that. There's 2 ways. I think there's 2 ways to look at that. You know, you get some young buck up there just going, hey, look, I'm getting my shot. And I'm like, you know, really, dude, I appreciate that. Are you getting that because are you virtue signaling? Because that's a word now. Virtue signaling. Are you just going, hey, look, I'm getting my shot?
It's like I was watching a news article. Apparently, people were kind of standoffish about the polio vaccine when it first came out.
Yeah. Well, you know, there were people that got fucked up because of that when it first came out. Well,
yeah. But trust me, I read that whole article about that cancer-causing bullshit or whatever it is that went along with it. But what's his name? Elvis Presley got it on TV. And it kind of like lit everyone up, like, oh, well, if Elvis is going to get it, we might as well get it, you know. And I think that's what they're trying to do, is like all these big political heads like Fauci and all these, like, look at Fauci, he's getting his vaccine. You know?
I think he's a knucklehead. If Billie Eilish goes up there and gets a fucking vaccine, I don't care. I'm like, okay, let me see if she grows like another eyebrow. I don't care. I'm not influenced by what celebrities do.
That's like I said. I
can make up my own
mind. I don't really want to get it. I'm gonna wait. But if it does help people, let the other people that need it first get it.
Yes.
Instead of they went for the health care, which made sense, but the second round should have been all about elderly through like 65 and up. That should have been it at that point.
Tina says it also depends on the volume of people your job exposes you to. I get that. Ours here in Texas is a little. It's weird. It's like anything healthcare related is like tier 1. You are okay. And then underneath that is like morticians and people that might have, if you're a random caregiver or if you're a mobile caregiver, you're in this other category. And it's like I said, morticians, and I'm way below morticians. There's like tier 1, there's tier 2, and then of these tiers, there's sub tiers within those tiers. And I'm not even mentioned yet. So
tier.
I don't think I'll be getting anything until at least like May or June.
When CVS and Walmart start advertising,
exactly,
that's when I'll probably wind up getting it.
And I really hope they don't have the. You know what I read is of all the people, and this was 2 weeks ago. This is 2 week old. This is 14-day old information, and it may have changed. I am not a doctor, but I read an article that said that of the people that have had severe adverse reactions, they fall into a certain category. And some of them, all of these people that have had severe allergic reactions, this is worldwide, have either severe seasonal allergies. And another one that they mentioned was allergic to penicillin.
That's weird.
When I was a kid, it's just like it's in my medical documents. I'm allergic to penicillin. I have no idea what it does to me. But I had the red tag, that my 10 years in the Army. I had my red tag that says penicillin on it. I have no idea what it does to me. My doctors are like, "Hey, what does this do to you?" I'm like, "I don't know. I was just told when I was a kid. It's in my my little shot records. Adverse reaction to penicillin." So I'm I was on the fence as far as getting the Rona vaccine, and then I was like, okay, I've made up my mind, I'm going to get it. And then I read that article saying, hey, if you're allergic to penicillin or have seasonal allergies, which I have both, that put me back on the fence now.
Well, like I said, I could wait it out. I mean, if I do catch coronavirus, the only thing that freaks me out about me catching it is I could spread it to my family. That's the only thing that freaks me out about it. So I'll wait.
Now I'm seeing other articles saying that, okay, all of a sudden now the asymptomatic transmission is like at 57%. I'm like, what does that mean? How do you know that? How do you know you don't know that, and then you gave it to someone else who got it, and they had a bad reaction?
We could be honest and say that this thing has been, well, I won't say honest, but we could throw it to a weird tinfoil hat kind of thing. This whole thing has been like politicized to no extent, and it might not be as bad as people make it out to be. I know people are dying from it. People die from flu. People die from cancer. People die in car accidents. It's absolutely
a real thing. It's a real thing. I don't know if it's as dire as it is being portrayed.
But it's like a risk assessment thing. It's like I hear a lot of people talking about. It's like every day you get in your car, you take a risk assessment. Okay, how far am I traveling? What's the weather conditions? That's an individual's ability to do that. When the government comes in and says, "Hey, you can't do this because of this, and you got to wear a mask," you're taking away the risk assessment. Over something that's not really, I won't say really that bad, but it's bad, but not that bad. I don't know how to put it in terms.
How do you say that? How do you say that? I know the message you're trying to convey. I don't know how do you say that without upsetting?
Doc lost his grandfather or his father or whatever it is. I'm sorry if I fucked it up. His uncle. Mm-hmm. His uncle. That's bad. That's sad. It's sad to hear. But there's a way to say it where there's a risk. Every time you walk out to check your mail at your mailbox, there's a statistic that's like you could get hit by a car. It's low, but it could still happen. Do you just stop going to check your mail because we got to flatten a curve of people dying?
Your cat is not plotting to kill you. The chances of you getting killed by your cat is low, but it's not zero.
I posted it on Facebook a couple days ago about the bird. It's like your chances of dying by a bird are slim, but they're never zero. Like I mean.
Speaking of birds, let's move this thing along because we actually burned up some time. We got 7 minutes. Okay. This caught my eye. A racing pigeon. This poor little pigeon. This little bird. People go to parks and they bring breadcrumbs and they feed pigeons. People will race pigeons, like for a living or a hobby or whatever. A racing pigeon who survived an extraordinary 13,000 kilometer or 8,000 mile Pacific Ocean crossing from the United States to find a new home in Australia is now a quarantine risk, and they plan to kill it. That is ridiculous.
I guess it makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Kevin, it's sad for the bird. It's sad for the bird and everything like that. But that bird, okay, there's things.
This is not the bird in question. This is like a stock photo of a pigeon. And he's actually saying, wait, what? So Kevin, a man, this guy's name is Kevin Bird. He has this weird hyphenated last name, but I'm going to call him Kevin Bird because Bird is his last name. Kevin Bird said Thursday that he discovered the exhausted bird that arrived at his Melbourne backyard on December 26th. It had disappeared from a race in the U.S. state of Oregon on October 29th. Experts suspect that the pigeon that Kevin named Joe hitched a ride on a cargo ship and crossed the Pacific. Poor Joe.
I thought he flew the whole way. Like from the way I read it the first time, I thought it was like, how does a bird fly?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought too. Joe's
feet. A cargo ship, it makes sense. He flew 300 miles out, saw a cargo ship, just landed on it because I'm tired. And
he's like, motherfucker, take me the rest of the way. Oh my gosh. The bird committed sedition. Insurrection.
Domestic terrorist.
Bad.
Pigeons.
Probably a right-wing bird.
He's a thug bird.
Thug birds overtake a ship and sail to Australia.
He's a pirate, huh?
Arr! Joe's feat has attracted the attention of the Australian media, but it also attracted the attention of the notoriously strict Australian quarantine and inspection service.
Well, I can understand why they're extremely crazy. I don't know if you remember that whole frog incident, or was it a toad incident that happened a while back?
Yes.
So I can see where they're, why they're kind of,
Mr. Bird said the quarantine authorities called him on Thursday and asked him if he could catch the bird. They said if it is from America that they are concerned about bird diseases. The Agriculture Department, which is responsible for biosecurity, said the pigeon, quote, poses a direct biosecurity risk to Australian bird life and our poultry industry. There are genuine fears pigeons from the United States could carry exotic diseases and believe that Joe should be destroyed. That's so bad. It's a bird.
Put them in quarantine, put them in a little quarantine cube, put them on a boat, ship them back to the States.
Give them some magazines or whatever. Let them read. So
that must sound like a hippie.
It's to save the trees.
Save the bird.
Mr. Bird, his name is Kevin Bird, said the Oklahoma-based American Pigeon Racing Union, didn't know that was a thing, confirmed that Joe the bird was registered to an owner who lives in Montgomery, Alabama. Mr. Bird said that he had attempted to contact the owner, but has been unable to get through. I call bullshit because this is in the news. I've seen it on a couple of different media services in different, using different words. So
I think the most really jacked up part about it is this bird showed extreme survival ability to be able to cross that far, and you're just to turn around and kill it because it had the ability to survive. That's like completely against the whole like natural selection kind of process.
In Montana, the buffalo are allowed absolutely nowhere near cattle because they carry a disease called brucellosis, which causes like immediate abortions of if a cow is pregnant, it's like immediately it'll miscarry. So the bison are definitely they try to keep the bison away from any cattle that are in the area, and it's really hard because bison just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, well, most of the bison, from what I understand, in central the heartland area, aren't they're not full-blooded like North American bison anymore. They're like bred with cattle.
Who do they know? You know, a bison's gonna hump a cow?
Well, I mean, there's only a very, very small population of actual, real, 100% native bison. Like somewhere along the lines, they started crossbreeding with cattle. That's what I was reading, at least. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I was reading.
I don't know if that's possible, but hey, they have ligers, which is a lion and a tiger mix. So I don't know.
They've got ligers.
Beefalo. Doc Derek wins the internet for the night. Beefalo.
Beefalo. There you go.
Is that a thing?
Apparently, what I was reading is what is in Yellowstone, or what you perceive as bison. They're not real full-blooded bison anymore. They're a hybrid because they just kind of had to do it in order to resustain the population, I guess. There's a very small population somewhere in Canada that's actually full-blooded, whatever the Latin term, bisonus, like niceness, whatever. But you know, that's it's from what I read.
All I know is whatever you find in Yellowstone you don't walk up and take selfies with them because they'll fuck you up.
So why do people do that?
Because they're cute. They're pretty.
Well, let's go take a picture of this animal. It's like 10 times my body mass. I'm going to get close to it. All it's got to do is go with his head, and you're doing barrel rolls in the sky. Every year someone gets maimed or gored by a buffalo. And I'll say bison. Buffalo is the wrong term for it.
Doc Derek dropped some brain knowledge here. Beefalo are the fertile hybrid offspring of domestic cattle. Usually a male in managed breeding programs, and the American bison, usually a female, managed breeding programs. The breed is created to combine the characteristics of both animals for beef production. What am I eating? If I buy bison patties, what am I getting?
You probably get beefalo at that point.
Yeah, probably. That's what I'm thinking. All right, let's get on to some.
I'd rather have me a nice bison burger than
bison burgers are really, really awesome. They're really, really good. Same with ostrich. I like eating ostrich burgers. So we got a special birthday coming up, and I just want to wish Betty White a very happy 99th birthday coming up on Sunday. Betty White, the television legend, was born on January 17th, 1922 in Oak Park, Illinois. She'll be celebrating her 99th birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday, young lady. So what is Betty doing for her birthday? Well, she says, running a mile each morning has been curtailed by the COVID. So I am working on getting the pet set re-released and feeding the 2 ducks that come visit me every day.
Okay.
The Pet Set was Betty White's 1971 television show that co-starred her husband, game show host Alan Luden, who also produced the series. The show, which had 31 episodes, including appearances by such stars as Vincent Price, Andy Williams, Bob Crane, Rod Sterling, Jim Nabors, golly, Doris Day, Della Reese, Mike Connors, and others. The stars spoke about their pets, including a wide range of animals such as bears, cougars, elephants, gorillas, kangaroos, tigers, and zebras. The animals were spotlighted in the studio and on location. The show will be re-released digitally on DVD on February 23rd, just in time for the show's 50th anniversary. So I'm really glad that Betty. I think Betty White has taken every precaution that she could have. I think that she's just isolating the shit out of herself.
I'm telling you, like, you ever see that meme where, like, it's like death, like, going into a like crane machine, and he's like aiming for Betty White. He's like, oh, I got this guy, or oh, I got this guy. You know, he's just mad. He's like, come on, Betty White, come on, Betty White. And he pulls someone. I was like, no, that's not who I was looking for.
You know, one of these days is going to be the crane going in for Betty White, and he's going to get like Keith Richards, or vice versa, and that's gonna suck.
One of those immortal 1970s rock band guys.
Yeah. Ozzy Osbourne. Who the fuck is this guy?
I completely forgot Ozzy was still alive.
He's the Prince of Darkness, man.
He sold his soul to the devil.
So we got some shows coming up. I've only pulled two of the shows which are happening this week. We've got a lot coming up. There's a couple this week. There's a couple next week. On the 18th, which is Monday, Brian Check, the CEO and founder of Battle Scarred Motorsports, will be on the Monday edition to talk about what they do for for our country's veterans and first responders. Battle Scarred Motorsports' mission is to provide an avenue for those heroes to talk to a family once they've trusted with all their hearts. Brian himself is a USMC veteran and saw the need for an outlet for military veterans and first responders to have an outlet to release their adrenaline. So that's awesome. I've kind of wanted to I kind of stepped into the arena when we went to Colorado, and I got in a go-kart, and those were badass go-karts. But I think that would be awesome to get into an actual motorsport type vehicle just to fucking tear it up. And I think that would be awesome. I rode motorbikes when I was a kid, but I was never crazy about it. Just because I would be in trouble if I ever got hurt.
Bikes, my ATVs, you know, like that was my thing. Dirt bikes and ATVs, and I had a nice dirt bike there for a while until my knee started bugging me, and then I quit. I had to sell it off because I couldn't ride it no more. But you catch me on an ATV, I don't care.
I'd do that. It's kind of like a car.
What, an ATV?
Yeah, it's kind of like a car. You just get dirty.
Oh, yeah. There's mud everywhere, you know. And
I'm not worried about getting dirty.
You don't flip it on top of yourself like I've done a million times and it sucks.
Never.
Or if you're going up a hill and it starts to roll back, you know, you got to just kind of say goodbye to it. Unlike some people I know, they're like, I got this. And they go the way down the hill with it.
Well, I've seen those videos. So on the 25th of January, which is another Monday, George Bell, I don't think he's related to Art Bell, is the vice president of Fieldcraft Survival Incorporated. George is a retired master sergeant who spent 20 years in special operations serving as a PSYOPs dude. Ooh. He served in various positions in the Army that he led and conducted counterproliferation and terrorism operations all over the world. He enjoys off-roading, bushcraft, and collecting historical artifacts. He resides in Heber City. I don't know where that is. With his wife,
idea what it
Sarah.
Is, but all I heard was zip zap, zippity zap,
zip zap, zip zap,
zip zap, zippity
so
zap.
That'll be so we got a show this Monday and another show next Monday with guests. And I've got a sneeze here. Oh my gosh! Here it comes. Whew.
Well,
and I promise you, it's not Rona. So none of you are going to get infected.
Purple elephant.
Thank you all for coming around, man. God, I forgot to put the Betty White thing. Or happy birthday, Betty White.
No.
She's a treasure, man. She really is.
When she was younger, she was totally smoking hot. That's all I gotta say.
She absolutely was.
Oh yes.
I chose not to put a younger picture of her in there because a younger picture of Betty White looks very, very nice.
I mean, she's still a good-looking woman, but like 90 years old. But I mean, for 90 she looks 99. 99, she looks fantastic.
99 ways to die. Anyway, everybody, thank you for joining us. We have shows 4 days a week. Monday is the Monday edition with Ice and Flash. Tuesday, Pop Culture Warrior with CQ and Radar. Hopefully, CQ can take up the thing with the Punisher and the social media things. Just the social justice warriors trying to get rid of the Punisher emblem. Thursdays is Sergeant's Time with Ice and Spanky, and then every Friday night is Friday Night Freedom with Kaz and Pookie.
And me, yeah.
Love you all. Thank you all very much for joining us. And
yes, have a safe weekend, y'all. Please be safe.
This is WTF Nation Radio.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation.
My own urine? No. But I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.